What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reviewing episode 6 of The Bad Batch, which was titled Decommissioned. Now, before we get into it, I wanted to just mention why I didn't upload the episode review last week. I kind of got halfway through it and then I went to bed and was going to finish it in the morning, and I woke up pretty much just completely under the weather, feeling really sick, and I was pretty much sick all week. So I had actually planned to do it and I was halfway through. I scripted it and recorded it, and it was nearly finished, and then I ended up just not, pushing through and getting it done. So if you're wondering, if you missed that or something like that, that was essentially just scrapped last week, but we are, feeling a lot better now, so we are going to get back into the content. So this episode started in a way that I thought was going to be sort of another one of those, typical single mission episodes where they have an objective to do, they do it, everyone's happy, and then the episode ends. And although it was kind of the general outline of the episode, it really did turn out to be quite different than I expected by the end of it. The episode starts with them on, I believe, Ord Mantell again, and they essentially have to take a job from Sid, their informant, to just try and get some money and give themselves a bit more freedom in terms of what they can afford and where they can go to make sure they stay on the run from the Empire. And the job was to capture and bring back an old tactical droid from Corellia, which is obviously a pretty famous planet where Han Solo was from and where many ships that we know in Star Wars are made. Now, like I said, it seemed like it was just going to be a pretty boring episode, to be honest. Kind of a heist type of mission where all they do is just complete the mission, bring back the tactical droid and get paid, and then perhaps head on to their next location in the story. But it did actually take quite a turn throughout the course of the episode. Once they arrived on Corellia, they were pretty much just going ahead with their mission when out of nowhere someone else seemed to be competing with them for the same tactical droid, and that someone turned out to be the Martez sisters from season 7 of the Clone Wars. Now, honestly, I think most people are probably not the biggest fan of those two. I know I really don't care for them that much myself. I found them to be fairly boring in season 7. However, what this means for the story is actually pretty massive, so I was definitely pretty excited to see them, even though I don't really care for them specifically. They mentioned that they're trying to steal the droid for someone else as well, yet they don't really mention who that is, obviously, but they do mention that they're doing it for good and that they're not just stealing it for the sake of it or stealing it to make money or anything like that, so there is a little bit of conflict there between the sisters and the Bad Batch. The rest of the episode essentially shows them trying to just survive the police droids and pretty much just escape the factory in order to make it to safety, with the sisters and the Bad Batch actually teaming up to make the escape, even though they aren't really what you would consider friends, seeing as they are both after the same droid for separate jobs. Now, once they make their way out of the factory and to safety, however, Hunter actually lets the sisters keep the data because after they helped save Omega during the sort of battle that went on in the factory, he knew that they would use the data for good and that the tactical droid would be in the right hand. So they actually hand over the data at the end of the episode, which it pretty much ends right there for the Bad Batch. The final scene then shows the Martez sisters on their ship, however, and they pop up a hologram of someone that we can't see, letting them know that they got the data they were after and that they ran into the Bad Batch, mentioning that they knew where to find them, and the episode ends right there. So obviously a pretty massive cliffhanger there. I'm not too sure who they were talking to, however, the fact that R7 was on board with them, which is Ahsoka's astromech, and the fact that they obviously know Ahsoka well and are some of the last people she was with before Order 66, that does make me think it's very likely to be Ahsoka that they were talking to, although it's definitely not a given either, as it really could be just about anyone at this point. It could be Rex, who maybe they somehow know through Ahsoka. It could be any other rebels, since they did mention in the episode about choosing sides, so they're obviously on one side of the war now, working either partially for the rebels, or, and this is very unlikely, it could even be someone from the Empire, or possibly even the Kaminoans. Maybe the Martez sisters have actually sided with them, as they have done some jobs for some rather bad people in the past, so it honestly could be just about anyone. I think if I had to just choose one person, then I would say that it is most likely Ahsoka, just due to the fact that they obviously know her better than they know anyone else in the story, and like I said, they are in the ship with R7, who is Ahsoka's droid, unless it is maybe just a different astromech known as R7, as obviously that's a possibility, but that does seem very unlikely. But yeah, I think I'm just leaning towards it being Ahsoka as of right now, and hopefully this is something that we find out about in the next episode, as I don't think any of us want to wait multiple weeks like we have for the rest of this Crosshair story. Now, the last thing I wanted to touch on was what happened with Wrecker. He had a little bit of a boo-boo in this episode where he once again banged his head, and he actually started to essentially turn as his inhibitor chip is clearly playing up, and this is something that a lot of people have predicted after he constantly keeps talking about his sore head throughout the show. Now, I palmed it off at first, to be honest. The first episode that it was mentioned, I thought pretty much nothing of it. I thought it was just a ploy to keep him pretty much on the ship rather than having him go with Hunter and track down the parts for their ship, but it's been made so clear over the last 3 episodes that this is going to be a thing, and it's pretty likely that he either turns or possibly even dies because of the chip. I do think that in reality he will be on the brink of turning and Tech will manage to fix him, as he did talk about that scanner earlier on in the season, which will be useful for their inhibitor chips, and possibly that could be why they meet with Rex, to get him to show them how to remove the chip safely or something like that. So my guess is that he'll pretty much be on the brink of turning, but then he will end up being saved, which could even lead to Crosshair being saved as well by the end of the season, but we will just have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode down in the comment section. Let me know who you think it was in the hologram at the end of the episode, and also let me know what you think will happen to Wrecker throughout the rest of the season. That is going to do it for this one though, guys. As always, a massive thank you to all of my channel members and my patrons for the continued support. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel as well, then be sure to check out the Patreon page that is linked down in the description. For those who are enjoying the Bad Batch content, I actually do upload a Bad Batch full episode reaction over there every single week, so if you are interested in that, then like I said, be sure to check the link down below. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
Crush them! Make them suffer!